Hello and welcome to today's SpinFire Insight webinar. I'm Carissa Moreau, the Customer Relationship Manager here at TechSoft 3D and your host for today. We are excited to be sharing our latest updates with you. Some housekeeping reminders. To ensure a smooth experience, all attendees are muted and in listen-only mode, but we'd love to hear from you. If you have any questions during the presentation, just click the questions icon at the bottom of your screen and we will try to answer as many of your questions at the end of the webinar. If we do not get to yours, we will follow up with you directly. So like I said, I'm Carissa Moreau, your host and presenter for today, and joining me is my colleague, Alan Hardy, as my co-presenter. As for what's in store for today, we're going to share a brief overview of our solutions, dive into an insight recap, which will then be followed by a demo, and share the release updates with Alan, and then conclude with our Q&A. But before we jump into Insight, just a quick reminder of the bigger picture. At TechSoft 3D, SpinFire isn't just a single product, it's a set of solutions designed to solve different challenges around the engineering data. Each solution is focused and powerful on its own, whether that's conversion, visualization, or an immersive experience, but the real value comes from how they work together. What we're offering is a choice without fragmentation. Instead of stitching together multiple vendors, tools, and workflows, you're working with one partner who understands your engineering data across the formats, teams, and use cases. So while these solutions may address different needs, they all support the same goal, making engineering data more accessible and usable across the business. And with that context, let's zoom in on where many of you are focused today, SpinFire Insight, where we are going to cover how SpinFire Insight helps unlock the power of CAD data. Before we get into that, I'm going to do just a short poll that will only take a moment of your time. If you could just allow me 1 short minute to pull that up and get that going. I apologize. Okay, you should see the first question. Would you be interested in regular SpinFire Insight web sessions where you can drop in and ask questions about the product in an informal setting? I will just give you a moment to fill that out. Okay, hopefully you no longer see that poll. Something's going on with my pop-in over here. There we go. I'm sorry about that, folks. There we are. Now we're getting the results I was looking for. Okay, we still got a few more answers coming in. Hate to cut it out early. Okay, excellent. Thank you all so much for that. Much appreciated. Okay. Moving on. Once again, thank you for taking our poll. So now let's dive into the benefits of SpinFire Insight for the entire enterprise. Only about 4% of an organization are CAD power users creating the product definition. That means over 90% of the business still needs access to that data review, validate, quote, manufacture, or collaborate, but they don't have the right tools. And that's where the problem starts. CAD is powerful, but it's also complex, expensive, and not built for broad access. Therefore, teams either get blocked or they work around it using disconnected tools, leading to version confusion, delays, and unnecessary rework. The reality is, product data needs to move beyond engineering, but most organizations aren't set up to do that efficiently. So if the challenge is getting CAD data into the hands of the 96%, the question becomes, how do you do that without adding more complexity? The answer isn't giving more people CAD. It's removing the dependency on CAD altogether with the help of SpinFire Insight. What you need is a way to take complex engineering data and make it accessible, lightweight, and usable across the organization, so anyone who needs it can open it, understand it, and act on it without friction. That's exactly what SpinFire Insight is designed to do, and pretty much everyone within the value chain of discrete manufacturing organization can benefit, the other 96%. You're looking at some of the roles that can get an instant benefit from having 3D data access in the organization beyond the engineering team. In addition, there's also quality where they can view the GD&T and then translate the CAD to usable format for quality devices. You could consider the shop floor, company management, suppliers, partners, and so on. There are a lot of benefits to consider, especially with regards to providing enterprise CAD viewing. This is why so many of our customers, as seen here, have made the move to the Enterprise Bundle. And I'm so pleased to have many of you here today. So welcome. Now for the part you've all been waiting for, I'm going to hand this over to Alan for the release updates and the demo. So Alan, when you're ready, I'm going to stop sharing and you can take over.
So hello, everyone. My name is Alan Hardy, technical consultant here with Textile 3D. I've been with the company since 2018, primarily helping with any technical issues, licensing issues, or any kind of demos, presentations that help guide you along any technical issues. So today, I will be highlighting some of the important updates with SpinFire Insight 2026.1. This will be more of a an overview, focus on usability, PMI workflows, and performance improvements, not necessarily a technical deep dive. The emphasis is mostly on, for new users, the getting started page with our home screen. I'm going to get into that, and then as well as how to work with complex assemblies, specifically with a CATIA format. So we have periodic releases throughout the year that maintains that technology, keeps up to date with the releases of NX, CATIA, SolidWorks throughout the year. Again, performance improvements, so better efficiencies. So I'll be highlighting today more focused on improved PMI visibility, interoperability with CATIA formats, and that faster loading time, so the parallel loading time specifically, again, with CATIA formats. This is a beta version, so it's not readily available for all of our formats. It's just more of a test release that we're doing with the CATIA format. So we want to welcome any feedback from customers regarding that. So to jump into our demo, so as a user starts up the SpinFire Insight application, they'll see the starting page, which now provides a lot more resources available for a user and much more helpful for new beginners with the software. We have a getting started section where a quick click to quickly open files, view sample files, and go to our help site. We offer some tutorial videos just to help you get started with opening files, how to save a model, how to export data. Then you have your recent documents. If this is your first time loading SpinFire, that area will be empty. And we now offer this sample files section here with 4 assembly samples. Historically, we've always provided the water bottle, and it's kind of buried in the directories of the installation file, so it's hard to find. But now that we have everything up front here with 3 additional assemblies that you can test with. And on the left-hand side, we made some changes to the list of resources. So we have some quick resource links to view online documentation, release notes, quick links to contact help desk or support, email support, and then a change into our interface for activating your license. This still brings you to your tools activation page. But when you click on documentation, I will show you just some in a moment here. So the help site documentation will bring you to this homepage of our SpinFire Insight help site. Some helpful resources for maybe a quick note at the top here of news, some getting started links, what's new, how to troubleshoot, contact support, function guide, user interface tour, all that's available here, as well as finding that information on the left-hand side. And then we have our release notes. So you can go in here, you can click on 2026.1, you can see lists or a deeper dive information about the latest release of 2026.1 and the latest updates for what we support in the native CAD there in this release. And we also offer a public roadmap, which gives you a glimpse of kind of what we're planning to release in the future throughout the year. So you see 2026.1, 0.2, 0.3. And then there's also release dates, so you can kind of see the history of our release notes. And then with the help desk resource and the email support resource, if I were to click on help desk, that will bring up this support portal. Now, if you are new to the support portal or don't have an account yet, you would most likely, or you're not logged in, you would most likely see this landing page where you just provide your email, log in, create an account, and then you can access existing support tickets, check on the status of support tickets, things like that, or get some resources, get your download links for installing chat with us here. All this is available for all of our end users. Next, we have if you click on email support, that will open up a pre-made template and an email to create an email draft with the SpinFire support email already in the recipient there, and just some preset questions to fill out. So this will help us be able to find customer information and have all the questions that we would have to ask right away, and provide that information here, and we can more quickly resolve your issues or answer your questions that way. Another thing I just want to note, since we're on this help site, we've had a mandatory update with our floating license manager, which is specific to floating license users with the 2026.1 release. That information can be found here on our help site under the floating license manager category, just giving you a guide for updating that floating license manager to from 11.17.2 to 11.19.8. And then the next thing I just want to highlight, because it goes into my next topic, is just some details about the preset settings that we have now available in 2026.1. We've actually released it last year. Some presets for quality settings, balance settings, performance settings. And this just kind of helps you understand what it is that it's turning on and off for you to start out with. Maybe you need to just start out with the balance settings, and then from there you can customize what you need specific to your needs. So that information is there just to help you understand what those presettings are actually doing for you. Now, the floating license manager, I just want to quickly mention about this update. The floating license manager is a mandatory update to keep up to date with the third-party security vulnerabilities, as well as a vendor domain change, which is not backwards compatible so SpinFire 2025 will not work with Floating License Manager 11.19.8. And this only impacts end users that are using floating licenses. So if you're using a node lock license or a site license, this has no impact on you. So it's nothing for you to worry about. Now, if you have a large user base using floating license, we will be able to work with you to help with that transition period. So you can contact us at support and we'll guide you, we'll provide you the updated license and work with you on how to help you transition your user base over time. Okay, so now I'll hop back over to SpinFire and show you some key changes in our SpinFire Insight in the 3D workspace. So I walked through some changes on our homepage. Now in our 3D workspace, a major change is just the look and feel of this. So the color scheme for the background is this is now the default, it has a blue gradient background look. Now, if you're an existing customer, you already have it installed, you have your personal user settings, updating to the latest version is not going to override what your personal settings are already set at. But we've also made changes to the axis triad. That Z-axis is blue instead of yellow now. It's a lot easier to see. Like if you're using a white background, typically most of the time I am using a white background, and with a yellow color there, it's hard to see that Z-axis. And then the other thing we wanted to change, updated, was the navigation cube. Instead of having all the different colors, we had this as a solid color just to help with a better visual balance between everything. Next, I want to highlight some improvements focused on overall usability. We're continuing to invest in SpinFire Insight for making it easier to use, making it more consistent, more predictable for day-to-day use. So those that are onboarding, they can quickly understand how to use the software without needing long hours of tutorial of training. It should be easy to catch on how to use the software. So again, we want to reduce the time for users spending time to figure things out. So we made improvements with the PMI usability, interoperability, as well as the loading performance with parallel loading time. And again, I mentioned that the parallel loading time is only impacting the CATIA formats. Now with the interactive PMI data, so here's an example we have with a rear suspension. When I click on a measurement, this is the PMI, which is product manufacturing information, or annotations, GD&T data that was already built into that native CAD. When I imported it, I kept that information to retain that data. So when I click on that, you see now that the associated parts or surfaces that are aligned with that measurement is also highlighted. This helps the user decipher much more quickly what you're looking at, what you're measuring. And the other nice benefit with this is that when I click on this part, and right click and I'll click on hide, there's some PMI data that will automatically hide along with it if it's associated to that individual part. So there's some PMI here that stayed on, like at 76 millimeters was still there because it's not actually associated to that part. It's associated to these two items here. But there was another call up that hit actually right there that says new clip. And then the other thing I want to mention is the parallel loading time. This is more beneficial for the CATIA format. It's a beta release. We want to welcome any feedback from customers regarding this feature. See how well it works out with CATIA format, and then we'll do some further investments to implement that in other formats in the future. But for the parallel loading time, this is for those complex assemblies that you have large CATIA assemblies with lots of associated parts. If I were to hop over to the CAD importers and navigate down to CATIA, click on this gear icon. This brings up my settings, my importer settings for CATIA. And I'll scroll down to where I see parallel loading time. So here's where I can enable the parallel loading time, and I can actually control the CPU allocation for being able to use multiple CPUs to help with that loading time. Now, let me go back to my PowerPoint slides and walk through the differences with this parallel loading time. So here we have a little chart on how well it impacts that CATIA assembly. So small files, it's not super helpful. The results are kind of inconsistent with that side. So it's more beneficial for these large assemblies. As you see here with the medium file size, it starts to appear more consistent, especially with quality and balance. And it just gets better, strong, much more stronger improvements with this very large. You see the dark green, very good percentage-wise. The loading times improves quite well. And then we have our roadmap for the remainder of this year. We have 2026.1 was just released the end of March. And we have a 0.1 release, a minor point release, just to get this out the door with the latest CATIA v5 importers. And then we have additional target releases throughout the year. Again, these are targeted dates where we plan to have these releases throughout the year up through the beginning of February of next year. Again, we want to introduce new features, fix bugs, keep up to date with these importer libraries. So with that, I will go ahead and start another poll question. Would you be interested in a mobile CAD viewer? I'll give a moment for those to answer this question.
Thank you, Alan. I do see a few that have come in. One of them is what is included in the SpinFire Insight Enterprise. And I'd like to share with everybody that what you gain by going with SpinFire Insight Enterprise is unlimited access to the SpinFire Insight Premium Bundle. So I wanted to clear that up with anybody. And any other questions? Can I deploy Enterprise as a floating license? Yes, you can. You can deploy SpinFire Insight Enterprise as a floating license, a node lock license, a hybrid of the two, or another deployment called a site license. And because I know that question will be next, a site license is similar to a node lock license and is dependent on your computer being a member of the company domain.
I see another question here, so I'll go ahead and take this one. It says, why do
Absolutely.
some assemblies still load slowly, even with these performance improvements with these presets? So there might be some cases where either your personal computer's graphic drivers are not up to date. So please check your Windows updates or go to the graphic drivers direct website to check on those graphic driver updates that may not even have been released to the Windows updates yet. So that's always our first step to troubleshooting that. The other thing is, do you have your settings in SpinFire Insight set up for optimal performance? Do you have the right graphic driver selected there within the SpinFire Insight? Do you have like static mode enabled? Just those little things will help improve the performance of being able to spin your models around without the choppiness.
Okay. Thank you,
Another
Alan.
question I see here is, does the new parallel loading time capability improve workflow efficiencies for large assemblies? Yes, but this again is only it's a feature that we've introduced that is only regarding CATIA assembly models. So it's not yet ready available for any other formats other than large or other than CATIA assembly models.
Great
Okay,
question.
navigation cube, is there a time designated when it will be independently managed? When you say so there's actually a setting in SpinFire that you can modify. Go in here, my settings. 3D viewer. There's a settings that you may want to check out and see if you can update that, your views and viewports, define standard views, so you can actually modify what those views are with the standard views settings under 3D viewer settings.
Excellent. That might be all the time we have left today. If we didn't get to any of your questions, we'll be sure to follow up directly. But if you had any other questions after the webinar, you can reach out to myself or Alan directly here. Our emails are listed. And I would just like to thank you all for your time today. I appreciate it and have a wonderful afternoon.